welcome back to episode 4 of How About Them Pod Boys. Your favorite hosts in the entire world are back again this week to talk another week in the NFL. Big week for us, first week. Dallas Cowboys get the season started last Thursday night with opening day, playing the Super Bowl defending champs, the Philadelphia Eagles. This week, Thursday Night Football takes us to Green Bay with Green Bay and the Washington Commanders kicking off. A little bit different feel on my end, it feels like, with us not being the primetime headline game. But week 2 with another great game to start this year for the NFL with that big matchup. What are your initial thoughts on it?
Yeah, obviously those are two good teams, both coming off some great wins. Packers beat the Lions and then the Commanders beat the Giants, but is this at Green Bay?
It is at Green Bay, yes.
Yeah. So I guess my big thing is I'm curious to see Washington away. They did play their last game at home. Obviously we know what the Chiefs had to do in Green Bay. They're a great fan base, but I'm curious to see what Daniel does as an away team, how he commands the offense, the huddle, and just seeing if Jordan Love just continues on this heater. He's playing great ball. I think Jacobs is a big part of their offense, and I think when he can get going, I feel like Love does a great job in the air.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Jaden Daniels, again, coming off of a great rookie campaign last season, so I think he kind of surprised some people, because coming in as a rookie and a top pick, you're expected to be, play well for your franchise, but there's a reason you were drafted that high. That means your team really didn't play that well before you came in, things like that. So I'm anxious to see and really excited to see how he plays at Green Bay, hostile environment. Like you said, Jordan Love's been playing well. Jacobs, great running back on that team. So how is Daniels going to come in for Washington, control the tempo, and, make sure that they're playing commander football? Because Green Bay is, like I said, it's a place that can become hostile. The crowd's right there on you, a smaller stadium. But it just really depends on how well he plays in a big time prime time matchup like that.
Right. I feel like a big key to this game is Green Bay's pass rush, and to counter that for Washington is going to be what Daniels can do on the run in the scramble game. I feel like he was real comfortable last week. Who wouldn't be when he played the Giants, right? So
Right.
really going through his reads, and we'll see if he shows some legs this game. I do know I got a prop for him for some rushing yards, so hopefully he does scramble a little bit.
Right. Yeah. No. His legs are a huge key to his game. When he can scramble, it's not even always to get out and actually run the football down the field and gain a ton of yards, but just his ability to scramble, keep plays alive, is what makes him a threat that he is. And it's hard to cover in the National Football League for multiple seconds when a play breaks down, and that's where Scary Terry gets big plays, because Jaden Daniels can run around for whoever knows how long he needs to. Throw back to that big Hail Mary that they won the game against Chicago last season. That was on a huge broken play. Jaden Daniels ran around for felt like 30 seconds and then hit the Hail Mary in the end zone. So, no, I'm excited. And like you said, the big point is that pass rush from Green Bay, as they obviously added our old boy, Micah Parsons. I think he'll get more snaps this week. He was relatively new to the Packers last week, and got in on a sack. So we'll see if he can get in on another sack. And I'd like to hope that he doesn't, just because every time I see him bring a quarterback down, that brings a quick tear to my eye as a Cowboys fan, not having him on our field anymore. But like I said, I think that's for the better for us. I do. I think it'll eventually turn our way, and hopefully mid-season and towards the end of this year, we'll see why we made that trade and got a veteran in Clark. But we'll get to the Cowboys here in a little bit. So any parting thoughts just for that initial Thursday night game you'd like our listeners to know?
Yeah, for sure. Just to wrap it up, Austin, question for you. Commanders sitting at plus 3.5 and at money line at plus 148, and the Packers are minus 174. So I guess if you're going to give one to our fans, would you take money line? Would you take Commanders 3.5? Who do you like?
I like Green Bay actually minus 3.5. I do. I think Lambeau's a tough place to play. I think that for Green Bay, I think they're a team to watch out for this year. I mean, they're a well-oiled machine. They added Parsons, obviously. Jordan Love's only going to continue to flourish and get better. We saw that firsthand in the playoffs when he took us down as a 7 seed. So I think that he's just going to continue to get better. They're going to continue to get the running game established. That's where he'll be strong on the play action. And I really think this game maybe gets a little ugly. I think I think it could even get upwards to 10 plus points against Washington. I don't know what to think of Washington right now. I'd like to say that Washington's going to end up third place in our division, with us being a toss up with Philadelphia. I'd like to win our division, but I'd still give it to the Super Bowl champs right now. And then I'd put Washington in third place between both of us two teams. So I think this is a game that Green Bay gets out to another hot start. They begin their season 2-0, their campaign, and I think this puts Washington 1-1 in the column.
Awesome. Hey, I think we should throw a new segment out here, and I think we should just every Thursday, let's try to guess the first TD of the game. So I'm
I
gonna
love
take a
it.
stab at it, and I'll let you take a stab at it too. I'm just kind of looking at the odds right now, and I really like Romeo Dobbs plus 1100 first TD of the game.
That's a
So
huge. I
fans,
mean,
fans, if you're listening, book it, slip it. We'll come back to it Sunday, and hopefully we're winners. We got
I absolutely love that. No, I think this is a week for Jacobs to get in the end zone early and often. I think Green Bay marches the first drive of the game if they get the kickoff down the field. If they have to kick the opening kick, I think that they keep Washington, from scoring. Maybe they get a field goal if anything, but I think Green Bay marches it down first drive and just establishes that ground and pound to open up the passing game later on in the game. So I'm going with Jacobs' first touchdown of the game.
awesome. Love it. Riding Packers high. Let's take
Well,
us into Sunday.
unfortunately, I'm not a big green and yellow fan, but I think this is the week, and we always got to root against our fellow
Oh,
division
divisional for
rivals,
sure.
right?
Yeah,
So I'd like to see Green Bay unfortunately win. That makes me almost want to puke when I say that, but it's better if they beat our division rivals.
yeah. Better in the long run for sure.
So we'll jump in. Yeah, why don't we go to part 2 of our episode here, and we'll give the listeners what they're here for. They want to talk about the Cowboys, America's team. It's our bounce back game, right? We start with
Oh
another
yeah.
division game. We're going to have 2 under our belts after week 2. And not a lot of people around the NFL can say they get 2 division opponents right away back to back. So for us, I think, this is a huge, huge game. We cannot start 0-2 if we want to get to where I think we can get this season for the Cowboys, and that's a playoff berth. And then once you get in the playoffs, you know how that can go. Anybody has a chance. People get hot. It's about how you're playing later in the season. But like I said, with the second divisional game, especially playing probably the worst team in our division, I think we can all kind of come out and say that New York is probably the lowest on the totem pole of the 4 teams in the NFC East. I think without a doubt, coming back home, opening game at home for us this season, the crowd's going to be awesome, going to be phenomenal. They're going to be, ready to go, amped up for our Cowboys to see them for the first time this year. Where in the last several years, Cowboys have played awesome, right? I mean, we've won a large majority of our home games. There was a stretch there where we were, I think it was 16-0 in our last, 8 home games, or for the past couple seasons. I know we did lose a couple maybe this past season, but there was a long stretch where we were playing where no one was coming into Dallas and beating us. So I think, we'll get into some of the keys for it, but I think without a doubt, we have to stress how important this football game is for us.
Yeah, obviously it's gonna be great to be back in AT&T. I'm gonna really enjoy seeing those white towels being, swung around and all the jerseys. I feel like this is one where we can't come into um, just overlooking. Obviously, this is a professional football team, right? Um, feel that we do control the majority of the game. I feel like we've established our run game, which we will do again against this Giants defense, and I think that's going to open up the play action and the deep ball. I think we'll take a lot of shots this game, and I think we do it early. So I think we we really take care of business here, and we establish that we are a dominant team, and that there's levels. And as you said, I think they're the bottom of the 4 in the NFC East. And another thing is, I think we put up 30 plus this game.
I agree. I think it's the breakout performance for our offense. And I think that's something that leads into week 3 and 4 down the road. I think we build confidence with this one. I think I agree with you. We go over 30 plus. I think we let Dak even continue to sling it. I mean, he had 34 pass attempts against the Eagles at Philly. So that's you know, huge crowd opening night at Philadelphia. We know how their fan base can be, right? I mean,
Right.
they're atrocious, right? I mean, they're spitting on you, they're yelling at you, they're throwing stuff from the crowd out on the field. So we're going to be back in our environment, home base, and I think Dak has a hell of a game for us. I think CeeDee Lamb has another over 100-yard game. And this is the night
I like
in the
that.
week that I'd like to see Pickens get back into the game a little more.
Yep.
We got him on some big PIs against Philadelphia, who had way better corners. Right? I know they lost some, but they still have, Cooper DeJean. They got guys like that can try to lock you down. That took a pick six in the Super Bowl back. So I think we're going to open up the passing game. I wonder what Javonte Williams follows up his 2 touchdown performance with. I'd like to say he has another strong performance, but I think this is one where we come out and we really throw the ball. So whatever he can add in his limited touches this week is just an added plus. So I think we have him. I think we mix Miles Sanders in there a few times, and I'd like to see Jaden Blue get on the field. I don't know. We had a healthy
Absolutely.
scratch last week as our third back, so just super excited. You threw out the line for me for the opening Thursday night game, so I'll bring it back to you here. It's Cowboys right now at -3.5 is the opening line for that one. And then, or excuse me, -5.5 is the spread. And money line is -260. So anything that stands out to you there for the listeners?
Yeah. I feel like that's an easy that's an easy cover at 5.5. I I don't understand why the line to me I feel is very very close. I felt like we could get him by a touch, and me personally, I would take him 10.5 or even up to 13.5. I think we win by 2 plus.
Oh,
The line is,
you're going 2 touchdowns on that one.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh, well, I mean,
I
Washington beats them by 15 at home, and they scored 3 touchdowns and held them to 2 field goals. Defensively, they're solid. They're well rounded, but I feel like offensively they didn't really do too much. I mean, 3 touchdowns is, as a team that's coming back from the NFC Championship, I feel like there should be more to that. So 5.5, I think, is too close. I think we cover that easily. Um,
No, I love that.
I
And
guess,
I guess
yeah.
I guess some yeah, so with that for some keys to it, like obviously we know Russell Wilson's not mobile like we talked about in our last episode with Jalen Hurts. But I mean, how are you game planning for Malik Neighbors? Are you going to have Diggs shadow him, or what would you do, going into this game? Because I think we both know, and Cowboys fans understand that Neighbors is the engine to their, you know what I mean? Like he's the engine
Mhm.
to their
Yeah,
offense. He's their initiator. If you can keep him from having a big night, I really don't see how they hang with us.
right. And this is one of the games I feel fairly comfortable seeing Diggs. He can shadow, but I'm not too worried about following him all the way around. I feel uh, our secondary is going to be fine enough to whoever, what side he's on. So I'm not worried about neighbors. Really, just so it opens up Diggs. So if he wants to jump one, he can. He can maybe rest the leg a little bit. He doesn't have to follow him around. Like I love what he did against AJ Brown last week. That was awesome. That was great. And I know he can do that to neighbors as well. But I want him to go get one. So I feel like defensively, if we get too high over there, if we get maybe even one high and just kind of just shade neighbor's side, it's gonna maybe force Russell into somewhere towards Diggs' side where he's got a number 2 or 3 on him.
No, and I love that. And I think 100% that's how we play this game because, like we said, Diggs is still getting back into the full fold of playing high level football as being out with the ACL injury. And you understand as any, how hard it is to come back from that. We've briefly touched on that, and he's playing at the highest level. So
Right.
you're facing elite athletes they know their route they're running, right? I mean, that's the hardest part of
Hmm.
being a corner in the NFL is they know every route they're running, right? And I wouldn't want to say guessing, but you're trying your best to keep them in front of you, nothing behind you, while also playing in your zone coverage if it's that on defense or if you're matched up man to man, understanding the assignments from guys behind you. Do you have a high safety, covering and cover two, or are you left alone and you have to make sure that nobody gets behind you still? as that, main guy on one
Right.
coverage. So as a whole, I think this game is going to be huge game for us. A get back game, get back in the win column, get back to 500, albeit 1-1. But then it sets us up for a good path down the road because we watched the Chicago Bears on Monday night is where we head in week 3. We won't go in big detail for it, but if we can get back to 1-1, get a division game under our belt with a win, get back in the win column there, have a leg up on the Giants for when we have them later on this season. I like our chances even heading to Chicago, right? Caleb Williams looked solid the first couple of drives, and maybe you could say up into the first half, but he was nowhere near where he needed to be to win that game against the Minnesota Vikings in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just a complete dumpster fire of a second half for the Bears. I mean, they just literally fell apart. It looked like they dominated the whole game. And I mean, you could even argue coaching decisions. It was 4th and 3 inside the 20, and they didn't take 3. They wanted to go for it. So greediness, coaching, whatever you want to call it. Caleb had a great opening drive in the first quarter, and I'm like, oh gosh, they're going to blow the Vikings out of the water. And then McCarthy, I'm still not sold on him. I got a couple of buddies. One of my roommates loves him, says he's the truth, but I don't know. It was great to see him come back, right? Because if you go to the first week and just absolutely just poop the bed like that, and I mean, the kid's got a good mentality from what I've heard all the stories, like him in the huddle, still encouraging guys as a first season starter is pretty impressive. But I'm just not sold on it just yet.
Right. No, I'm with you right there. Like McCarthy, I mean, I thought they opened up the playbook for him as the game went along because the first quarter especially, he left with 5 pass attempts, and I was like, ooh, I don't know if they just don't trust him or there wasn't opportunities for him to let it sling yet. Obviously, his game improved just from quarter 1 and snap 1 of the first game to quarter 4 where they came back and made the comeback. So, but like you said, I'm with you on the same page for him. I'm not sold on him. But if JJ McCarthy can go into Chicago and beat the Chicago Bears, I'm telling you right now, our hopefully MVP front runner towards the middle of this season, the guy leading our
Right.
offense, leading our huddle, I'm taking Dak Prescott at Chicago in week 3 to win that game. So I'm super
Yeah.
pumped about the opportunity. But like you said, all we can do is look at the here and now, and that's week 2 for us at home against the New York Giants, a 12 kickoff game. You just have to win that game. You can't overlook them. But I think we'll be ready, and I think we're hungry to get back in the win column.
Yeah. So just kind of how we, threw it in last week, just your key players. Just kind of give me one offensive and defensive player that are key for this week.
Yeah, I think offensively the key is Dak Prescott. I'm going to go with just the main guy, the guy that runs our show for us. For him to be the key, I think he's got to have a 2 touchdown performance. This is a game that yes, they have Thibodeau, and they got the rookie out of Abdul
Carter.
Carter out of Penn State, so they're going to have a pass rush. But I do think if we want to be at the level we're at, Dak Prescott's got to show that he is an MVP type candidate. This is a game where you have no silly turnovers, something that keeps a bad football team in the game
In the
type
game.
of
Yep.
thing. Right. And when you've played 10 seasons, right? I mean, 10 seasons you've seen every defense out there. Facing the New York Giants defense shouldn't be something that keeps you up at night in something you haven't seen. So he's my offensive key to the game. Defensively, I'm going to say our defensive line. I think that we just have to dominate the line of scrimmage. I think we have to keep Russell Wilson. I'd like to actually move him from the pocket, when he can sit back and try to find his first option, second option. He doesn't do a bad job, right? He's a little older now. He doesn't have the legs underneath him. So if we get in there, not dominate the line of scrimmage and have our defensive line getting, a yard or 2 in the backfield every time, collapse in the pocket and making him have to move and make decisions on the run. I think that they're a huge key for us.
Yeah. Offensively, I'm going to take the O line. I feel like if the Giants' core and mentality and best part of their team is going to be their D line with Thibodeau and Carter. And don't they have Dexter Lawrence too?
Yep.
That big D tackle. So I feel like offensive line are gonna have to hold strong, kind of establish the run, so we can open up the pass for Dak, and I think that's going to be the biggest key to us offensively. Defensively, who are you taking?
100%. Well, defensively, it was the D line I took
Oh, the
for
D
us to
line.
break.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And who?
Yeah.
So who are you going with? And with that D line, I guess I could break it down a little more. Uh, I think Fowler Jr. I think Dante Fowler gets in there for some rushes. I think he does brings down Russell Wilson a couple times. I think this is also a game Kenny Clark makes a huge name for himself.
Love
And I'm
that.
not even talking about getting in and getting a sack, but I just think being that big interior lineman, I think he dominates the
Yep.
line of scrimmage against the run. He holds his own where they have to throw the ball several times, and that's not what the Giants really want to do. I mean, their identity is still to get Tracy going, Tyrone Tracy going, and then that opens up neighbors down the field and Wandale Robinson and guys like that. So they have weapons. So I really think it's going to come down to our defensive linemen and why we brought you in, Kenny Clark, as a veteran to our team, is to take that next step, be that leader, and dominate.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's solid. I think, like you said, Kenny does kind of show up and establish himself, even if it's not on the stat sheet. He's going to make his presence known. Defensively, I'm going to take Malik Hooker. I did see him and Deron Bland are on the injury report this week, limited or did not practice. I don't know which one was which, but I think Malik Hooker needs to do his job firmly this week, whether that's some deep ball, Russell Wilson's moon balls he likes to throw. If he can go get one, or even just filling in the run if it gets past our linebackers. I feel like he needs to really fill and just impact the game in one way or another, whether that's in the air or making some tackles.
No, 100%. He's kind of one of our headhunter guys too. I mean, we've seen him blow up dudes on slant routes and just kind of making people understand that he's there, right? I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
got to understand that he's a guy coming downhill. He's ready to back up our corners and guys like that. So I love that pick 100%. Um, let's go to our last segment for this episode and talk about, some of the big games coming up this week. We talked briefly about the Thursday night matchup, which is a big one. But looking at the schedule, I don't know if you have that pulled up in front of you or not, but
Yeah,
what are
let me
some
get that pulled
games
up.
what you like on Sunday? Is there anything that catches your eye or anything that you'll be trying to watch for come Sunday?
Yeah, a big one. I think there's two I'm really looking forward to. Um, if I'm not mistaken, yep, the Eagles Chiefs. Would love to see the Eagles go into Arrowhead and just get absolutely blown out. Would love to see Mahomes kind of just bounce back, knowing the guys he has and just kind of established after the first week. It's kind of like over the head onto the next. And just, I mean, excited to see a Super Bowl rematch. I mean, I hope Mahomes, it's in his favor. Would love to see the Eagles go down, and that brings us back to 1-1 throughout the whole division. So, I mean, if they could, this is one we need them to drop. It would have been great if we could have got them in week one, and then they get got by the Chiefs. It makes them 0-2. It's tough to come back from a 2-loss start.
No, 100%. I think that's probably the biggest game on the schedule Sunday. Obviously, the Super Bowl rematch, and you hit the hammer on the head there, or the nail on the head there with just that at Kansas City. They're going to be wanting that rematch, right? I mean, they've sat on this all off season, wondered what they could have done better. Now they get them in their house. I think Patrick Mahomes lights them up, and like you said, that's going to put us in a great spot, albeit only 2 weeks in. They drop one game. Everybody's back to even at 1-1. I understand we lost them in a division game, so they'll have tiebreaker, but really at the end of the day, tiebreakers don't have to come into play and you can just go off your record. We got to have our division teams losing games. So that's one I'll 100% have on. I believe it's America's Game of the Week on Fox. It'll be nationally broadcast. It'll be a heck of a game. I think Kansas City comes out and does what Kansas City does and puts the ball in Mahomes' hands. They dominate that game. I think it stays close, but I think they dominate it to where there's really no doubt that they're the winners coming out, is what I hope for as a selfish Cowboys fan. But no, that'll be a super exciting game to watch for sure. Another one that kind of caught my eye, and then I'll see if you had anything else on there, is kind of one that they put on primetime 7:20 game kickoff on NBC. Was supposed to be the Kirk Cousins reunion. going
Yep.
back to
Hmm.
Minnesota, kind of a fairy tale there. But obviously, you've probably watched Netflix series quarterback, and watching the NFL that you saw he got benched late in the season last year for you know Penix, and
Penix. Yep.
Penix had a good first week. I know they lost to the Bucks, but I think Penix goes into Minnesota and has a good game. But I really want to see who we talked about earlier with JJ McCarthy, how he plays in week 2. Is he
Yep.
continue to build? Is he going to, get the Vikings to 2-0 where people are starting to say, hey, yeah, great decision, right? We moved on from Sam Darnold, who won us 14 games last year, and now JJ McCarthy starts 2-0. Or do the chirps, start creeping in where they're already talking, hey, at 1-1, Sam Darnold got us off to, a heck of a start and carried that through the entire season. Was it smart? Because we know how media plays and how fan bases jump to conclusions immediately. So it takes one game where you don't play well. You're already back to 500 as early as you are in week 2 of the season. And fans are going to be saying, hey, O'Connell, you got to figure this out. Is JJ going to be the guy? Because we had a guy in Sam Darnold. So that's another one that caught my eye.
Yeah. No, that's a game that, like you said, you thought Kirk was going to come back into Minnesota. So scheduling wise, I mean, it still works out in their favor. You got two young QBs on the national level. I think McCarthy will thrive at a home environment than away. Because I'm not going to lie, Chicago was loud. It was way louder than I expected, and they really showed out the fans. Um, but yeah, I'm interested to see like if he recalls that he does have a wide receiver one named Justin Jefferson, and he gets him the ball early in the game. So we'll see what happens there.
You think that? I mean, that 100%. And that was my question coming to you. Like, did they understand that who Jay Jetta is, or were they just being so conservative that he's probably, double covered or has a guy over the top that they didn't want to start JJ McCarthy's career with tough passes? But at
Right.
the end of the day, he's a guy that's going to bring the tough passes in. So I'd throw him the
And
ball.
he's going to be open. He's going to have 4 or 5 yards of separation. So,
He gets open,
yeah.
yeah. So I didn't understand that one. But again, first week, I think everybody's game plan is still a little bit of learning
Yeah.
environment. And with
Yeah.
JJ McCarthy, hey, I know you said you got a buddy that loves him, but me and you, I'm not putting him anywhere higher than maybe, if he's lucky, like 16th, 17th in the NFL
Oh,
today
yeah. I
as
would probably
quarterback.
20. I mean,
Yeah.
he's probably better than 7, 10 QBs. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not putting him much higher than that. So I'm assuming that's kind of their game plan they came in with as well. Uh, but yeah, again, like I said, I love where we're at. We'll kind of end on this note, but at the end of the day, right, we're only worried about the team we can be, right? We
Mhm.
can control what we can control. Heck of an opportunity for our Cowboys this week. Another awesome week of NFL football. Everybody's still playing, right? Bye weeks don't start for till about week 4. So it's
Mhm.
awesome to get to watch 16 football games again on Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, and Monday. So I'll be looking forward to, recapping it with you on Sunday, coming back and just talking about our week ahead, what we saw, what we liked, giving our best betting advice to our listeners. Because us right out here are always just trying to make a couple quick bucks and see what we can throw out there. So before I give our
Hey,
shout outs
Osh.
to our
Yeah.
socials, anything you want to throw in there?
Yeah. Would love to shout out Deuce Vaughn. Signed with the Broncos earlier this week. So shout out Deuce Vaughn. I mean, who has a fuck? Excuse my language. Who has a Deuce Vaughn jersey? Dallas Cowboys Deuce Vaughn jersey. Shout out to him. Really root
Throw
for the
that back
smaller
up on the
guys.
screen real quick. Throw that back out on the screen here. Yes, yes. Look at that.
Shout
That
out my
that
boy.
goes hard. Shout out Deuce
So tough.
Vaughn.
Shout out
Deuce, if
Deuce
we can
Vaughn.
get a
And
shout
then
out back.
absolutely Deuce. You're the truth, man. Always root for the
But
small guys, man. And then
100%.
did see Jadeveon Clowney was in the facility. Uh, would be an immediate sign if he does sign. So hoping to see that one go through as well.
Yeah, big news. I think it can't hurt us to add depth on the D line, right? And Jadeveon Clowney's played, obviously, former top pick, just an absolute unit on the defensive side of the ball. I think he'd do nothing but help our
Right.
team,
Exactly.
help our roster. Like you said, he was in the building. So Jerry, bring him home. I'm begging you, just have someone in our building that can, shut down plays. We've seen play at high levels for several different teams around the NFL. So no, super exciting time. Thanks everybody for joining us again on episode 4, your favorite podcast in the entire world on How About Them Pod Boys. As always, root for the Cowboys, cheer them on Sunday. Us two will be yelling at our TV, telling them how they should be coached, what plays they should be running, and how much we should be beating the New York Giants. So check us out on How About Them Pod Boys on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok. I appreciate the love we've got so far, and looking forward to coming back on Sunday and recapping with you guys.